Hi everyone. I hope I'm audible and visible to you guys. Can you just give me a quick yes in the comments? We'll start off in about a couple of minutes. So if I'm audible and visible to you, just give me a quick yes. Awesome. Perfect. So just give me a minute or two more and we'll start off. And anyway, the recording of this will be available on the platform that you're watching it on. So if you miss out part of it or people who come in later can always have a look at the recording. Awesome. So before we begin, would anyone like to share what is it that you currently use ChatGPT for? What are the kind of things that you use it for? If you use it for time pass or you just use it to create jokes, that's fine. I mean, I just want to get an idea about what is it that you currently do with it. Are you using it for your work? Are you using it in your studies to turn in assignments? Or, what exactly are you doing with it? Interesting. So Joseph uses it for projects, okay, and marketing strategies. Sure, that's a nice one. Sima Kiran uses it for writing code. That's cool. Varuna uses it for studies. Okay. Prasad says contract drafting for specific clauses. Yeah, that's a good one. Balaji says work. Okay. Uh, Rahman says development application purpose to create blog posts. Somebody says coding. Okay. Automation. That's nice. Sima Kiran, would you want to elaborate? What exactly do you mean by automation? What do you do with it? Joseph says finding bugs in code segmentation. Okay, that's nice. Awesome. Assignment and research work. That's neat. So let's start. Some more people also content writing, automation. That's nice. Okay. So I'm Rohas Nagpal, and by profession, I'm a blockchain architect and token economist. And I started using ChatGPT, I think on 15th of December last year. So it's been about 5 months now, but I find it absolutely mind blowing. So I started off obviously with the older version. I think we all started with 3.4. Currently, I'm using the latest version of it. And I think ChatGPT is absolutely amazing. Although there are some very surprising things that sometimes we don't know. So let me just quickly share my screen. So did you know that ChatGPT does not possess any understanding or consciousness, right? So sometimes when the answers we get from it, they sound so amazing that we think, wow, this thing understands everything. It actually understands nothing. And the responses are generated based on patterns that it has learned from data that it was trained on. And sometimes it gives you very logical, plausible sounding stuff, but which is absolute nonsense, right? It may sound very, very interesting and very intelligent, but actually it's actual rubbish. Now, in case you're wondering why does that actually happen, so when we talk about chat gpt, it's what we call as a generative pre-trained transformer. So it's a deep learning model, and there are 6 steps in how it works. So this is going to be one of the blog posts that I'm going to send to you, and that's going to be something you're going to read as part of the masterclass. Just to give you a very brief overview, we divide these 6 steps into how ChatGPT works into something called pre-training, fine-tuning, tokenization, context encoding, response generation, and iterative refinement. Now, if you're a normal user, right, of ChatGPT, you actually don't need to know these steps. But because we are talking about here becoming a prompt engineer, which basically means that you could offer creating prompts as a service to your client, right? So obviously your knowledge of ChatGPT needs to go beyond just the basics of creating the prompt, but you need to understand how it works also. So that's one of the things that you are going to learn later in this masterclass. Now, let's start with a very simple example, right? Give me one more second. I'm going to share my screen again. Now, from the ChatGPT playbook, which is going to form the courseware for this particular masterclass, This is an example of what we call as a vague or poorly structured prompt. Okay, now you can read the prompt clearly here. Make a digital marketing plan for a SaaS startup with the core product being productivity software. So it's a simple sounding prompt, and many people may actually just use something like this. But logically, we should go deeper into the question that we are asking. So, a deeper version could be design an effective and data driven digital marketing plan, right? So, where here we just simply said digital marketing plan, we've now added effective and data driven. Now, some of you may think, why do we need to use a word like effective or data driven? But actually, it changes the way in which ChatGPT is going to respond to your question. And I'm going to show you the two different responses that this gives us. Then, for a SaaS based productivity solution, that's fine. We don't need to change much. Now, here is where the magic really begins. That you are telling ChatGPT that the response that I want, these are some of the things that should be in it. Of course, it can add more, but at a minimum, we wanted to have an overview of goals, target audience segmentation, content strategy, search engine optimization or SEO, social media marketing, email marketing, and key performance indicators for tracking success. So that's the difference between a vague prompt or a simplistic prompt and a slightly well crafted one. Now, let's see what kind of a different result it can actually give us. Now, while both the prompts gives us a long result, I've just taken one part out of it to show you the difference. So, in the vague prompt or the first one, when we looked at the KPI or the key performance indicators, it just simply gave us this. Okay, we should base the success of this based on leads generated, conversion rate, organic traffic growth, social media following, or email open and click through rates. But when we look at the improved prompt, it's a completely different story here. See how much more detail it's actually gone into. So it starts off with website traffic, which is something which kind of isn't even here. And in that, it tells us we should measure the number of unique visitors, session duration, and pages per session. Then it talks to us about lead generation. Even here we find it. But here it goes a little deeper. It tells us that we must track the number of new leads acquired through various channels. So it's kind of explaining a little bit more. Something like conversion rate, which is here, but again, it's giving us some kind of information that we must monitor the percentage of leads converted into customers. Again, email marketing, assess open rates, click through rates, conversion rates. Social media engagement, measure likes, shares, comment. So what I'm trying to show you here is that depending upon how we ask the question, the response completely changes. And I did these two prompts in two different windows, so one result did not impact the other result. So far, is it clear to all of you guys? Do you have on what we've discussed? Just keep putting them in the comments and I'll try to answer them right now. Uh, okay, I would like to learn more about prompt engineering in DeFi and token economics. Sure, Kiran, we are going to go into that soon. Yeah. Uh, Having domain knowledge is an added advantage. Yes, that's a very good question that you've asked. So, whether having domain language is an advantage when it comes to using ChatGPT for prompts, and yes, definitely it is, because once you have domain expertise in a particular field, obviously the prompts that you are going to be able to craft are going to be better than somebody who doesn't have any domain expertise. Okay, then let me look at some more questions. Is there a prompt cheat sheet? Well, so yes, there are a few what we could call as cheat sheets. So actually, I've created an entire ebook around it. So that's the one that I recommend to all of you also. And that has a lot of prompts for very different kinds of professions which are there. And I'm going to tell you now how to create a good prompt also. Can you please show the prompt that you gave ChatGPT? Sure. Let me show it to you. So these were the two prompts. So when we said a vague or poorly structured prompt, then this is the one I gave it. A very simplistic one. And usually when people start off, these are the kind of prompts they write. And this was the improved one where I found that the results were much better. So these are the two different prompts that we gave. So when you actually look at them, you can kind of figure out that this may be something created by someone who doesn't have any domain expertise. So maybe someone who doesn't really know much about us starting a SaaS startup or building a digital marketing plan would give a very simple one. But somebody who's from the industry or maybe who's made digital marketing plans in the past would know that when we make such a plan, we do need to cover these kind of aspects. What are the goals, what are target audience segmentation, what's content marketing strategy should be there. So definitely that part would also help. Any questions? Let me have a look at them. How can we buy a copy of the ebook? Sure. So let me just put the URL here. So it's available on Amazon for just $2.99. And if you have Kindle Unlimited, it's free. So you could take it for that. I put in the link. There is no standard documentation. Yeah, so there is no standard documentation, which is the reason I created this playbook. So that it makes it kind of easy for you about what to do. Now let's go a little deeper. When we talk about creating a chat GPT super prompt, so there are 5 things that we need to keep in mind. So begin with a clear and concise question. Because what you got to understand is ChatGPT doesn't get sarcasm very well. Or sometimes when you try to be a little clever in your question, you're trying to be funny, don't try it. ChatGPT is what we call as LLM or a large language model. It doesn't get sarcasm very easily, or it doesn't really get funny things sometimes. So be very clear and very concise. Keep your question as crisp as possible. Don't make it too flowery. So even though the prompt that I showed you here, it may look long, but the point is we've not put in fluff words. Everything that we put in, every word is required, right? So that's the first part. Then focus on the specific information or guidance that you want. So again, going back here, so we are saying, you know what? We want a digital marketing plan. It should be effective, should be data driven, and then it should contain all these things. So we are again being specific. Add context or background information. So here again, we didn't just say make a digital marketing plan. No, for a SaaS based productivity solution. So SaaS is software as a service. Now I'm making something in SaaS which is a productivity solution. So I've given it the background because depending upon the background, the answer is going to completely change. Then experiment with different phrases or approaches. Now that's very important for us to remember that don't expect your first prompt to give you the perfect answer. If you feel there's something missing, or you feel that it's not gone into enough detail in one thing, or it's gone into a completely different line, that is where you change the prompt. And I'm going to show you how that also works. So, we may need to keep iterating our prompt, that asking follow up questions, and that kind of builds upon the answer. But just remember, whenever you're working on one prompt, keep it in one window. So I'll show you that in some time what I really mean by that. Give me a second. Let me just give you the fifth point first. That you have to be persistent and patient. So you may need to keep asking more and more, and you can ask follow-up questions. Now, let me show you how follow-up questions work. Okay. Let me go back here. Now, on my screen, you're able to see my ChatGPT window. So here on the left-hand side, can you see that there are multiple such chats that I've had with it in the past? So the basic one that I showed you, this is kind of how it started. So here on top, you can see which particular model you are using. So depending upon whether you have a paid or a free subscription, it will show you different models, and always ideally choose the latest model. So this was the short one we did. And in the improved version, we asked a longer question. Now, suppose based on this answer that it has given us, now can you see here that the goals are increase brand awareness by 50% in 12 months? Now, this is a goal that ChatGPT created. I did not create this goal. It said generate 20% increase in qualified leads in 6 months, or achieve 10% increase in customer conversions, or maintain a minimum 3% click through rate. Now, suppose I feel that no, this 3% is too low. I can ask a follow up question that what changes would be needed if we want a, say, minimum, instead of 3%, I say 5% click through rate, and I say enter. Now let's see what it kind of tells us. So now I have iterated upon it that I'm beginning to now have a brainstorming discussion. So now it says that okay, if you want to go to 5%, then these are the kind of things that you need to do. So this is something it did not tell us earlier. On its own, it calculated a 3% click through rate and it gave me a bunch of things. But it said now, if you want to go 5, you're going to have to do this: improve ad relevance, audience targeting, A B testing, optimize landing pages, utilize ad extensions, and it goes on. So it could give me about 8, 10 different options. So that's something again which is very important for us to understand, that consider it to be an ongoing exercise and not a one time question that you are asking. Deepak's question is: Chat GPT does not pick up the financial statement directly for analysis. How do we provide two or three financial statements? Okay, so again, I want you to understand that Chat GPT is progressing, and as more and more features are coming in, so it's already brought in browsing as one of the features. Then you also have something called the Chat GPT Playground where you can use APIs. So there you can actually pull in all these information. But that's something that is a little more advanced. So let's first understand all the basics. But you can do all those things. You can actually pick up stuff in live. So in fact, I'll give you a trick to do it. So if you tell ChatGPT to access a link, it may sometimes tell you that I cannot access the internet. So instead of that, take the link and just tell ChatGPT summarize this and just put the URL. But don't say summarize this link and then it'll actually summarize it for you. So there are certain tricks that you can actually try out. Someone's question interesting is it an iterative process? We should play around with it till we get all the vanilla test cases all right. Sure, yes, we should constantly iterate, ask, improve the question, change it. I have a question for you guys. Does it make a difference if we are polite to chat gpt, if we say thank you, if we are rude to it? Does it make a difference? What do you guys think? Also important to tell ChatGPT ask any questions it has before it can respond. Sure, Simagran, that's an interesting way of thinking, definitely. Uh, Fatima says it's not clear. Could you specify what exactly is not clear? Okay. So my question to you was, should we be polite to ChatGPT? And yes, actually, it makes a difference. But why don't we ask ChatGPT itself? It should. Okay. So does it matter if I am polite or rude to you? Right. So now let's see what answer it gives us. So now it says, as an AI language model, I do not have personal feelings or emotion. So it doesn't affect me whether you're polite or rude, right? However, I encourage polite communication as it creates a more positive experience for both parties and fosters a respectful environment. So yes, it actually matters. And I've tried this out that if you start speaking to it or asking questions in a rude manner, the answers start to change. And the answers are not so good. And it actually shows a little bit of hostility towards you. So I don't know why that happens because, like I said, this is a large language model. It's not actually thinking or understanding everything. Actually, every word it's building is based on probability, based on the sentences it has read in the past. But still, politeness makes a difference. However, I would also advise don't enter things like thank you as a separate question because it gets treated as a question. Now, here in the paid version, I'm allowed to ask 25 questions every 30 minutes or something, or 3 hours, sorry. So, if I waste thank you as one question, it's counted as one question. So, you can thank it in the question itself. So that's another thing. And use words like please and all, it actually makes a difference. Yeah. So yeah, for some strange reason, it matters that you be polite to it. Any other questions so far? Okay, let me go back to the book. Give me a second. So we looked at the 5 steps to crafting a super prompt. Now let's take an example about what are the kind of templates. Now in this book, ebook, what I've created are not just prompts or super prompts, but they are super prompt templates. So let me give you an example. So let's say that someone is a school physics teacher and you need to make a lesson plan. So maybe you as a prompt engineer have approached a school saying, I will help your teachers to make lesson plans, right? So what a template would look like is like this. Okay, so I want all of you to read it very carefully. So provide a detailed and engaging lesson plan. So words like detailed, comprehensive, they are very, very important to use, because if you want a brief thing, then you will simply say provide a brief lesson plan. Otherwise you will say comprehensive or detailed. Words like engaging are very important. It actually makes it more interesting and interactive, the text it generates. So use words like that. Use as many adjectives as you can, right? So provide a detailed and engaging lesson plan on. Now here we can create just subject and topic, because we are not giving this input to ChatGPT. We are giving this to the teachers. So suppose I'll give you an example. Let's say there is a client of mine which is a school, and I'm helping all the teachers out. So what I would do is I would create this and give it to them. Now each teacher, depending upon what they are teaching. So suppose it's a physics teacher, they may replace the word subject and topic with the word magnetism. So here they would write provide a detailed and engaging lesson plan on, and this word here they would replace with magnetism. Designed for, and they would change the word grade level with, let's say, 10th grade school level. So designed for so and so students, incorporating the following key elements: clear learning objectives, specific teaching method or strategy. So here again they may replace it with something called peer teaching. So teachers use different styles of teaching. Now whichever style that particular teacher wants, they will replace it. So you have to train your clients that please replace whatever is written in box brackets with what you specifically want. Continuing relevant and age appropriate activities. So suppose you were teaching magnetism to a third grade student, a 10th grade student, or a college grade student. The activities would change. So you would say age appropriate activities. And effective assessment techniques, like how do I grade these people? What kind of a test would make sense? Objective test, long answers. Again, we are using the word effective assessment technique to measure student understanding and progress. So in this book, I've completely filled it with about 68 different professions, and for each of them, 10 different super prompts. And each of the super prompts will look something like this. So you guys can feel free to use all of those, and I mean, use it in a commercial environment, absolutely no problem. You can teach it to your clients also. Uh, Next question, gray area of such models is going to impact somehow to my customer down the line. So, you could you explain more what that question means? What do you mean by the gray area? How can I create a report with 1000 words? So, Joseph, what you need to do is when ChatGPT finishes, sometimes if the answer is very long, it will stop in the middle. Okay. And when that happens, when it stops in the middle, just write continue and then it'll start again. Right. So that is a small thing that you have to do. Whenever it ends in the middle, because there is a certain fixed number of characters it can output at once. So, like I said, in this paid version, for example, I'm having say 25 questions. So there is a limit to the answer size. So when it stops in the middle, just say continue. How do I open ChatGPT on iPhone? So you can use your browser. So on my phone also, I have it open as a browser window, and I've logged into the window and I just use it in the browser. I did hear that somebody's come out with an app for it, but I don't know if it's from the original company. So I just use it as a browser on my phone. Seema's question is, if the client is a bank, what use cases do you think we can have and start from someone where, okay, and okay. So when we talk about banks, so now let me give you an example. Give me a second. Yeah. I've divided the sectors that you could, as a prompt engineer, focus on into 9 sectors, right? So, business, content creation, education, sales and marketing, law, life coaching, money and finance, technology, and wellness. So, according to me, as a prompt engineer, while of course any profession would benefit, I think these are the top 9 that as a prompt engineer you can focus on and generate good business, because we can give a lot of value to this segment. So, for example, you said money and finance, so banking. So, if you're referring to the book, then in the chapters of the book, these are the ones that are relevant to the banking and finance sector. Accountants, economists, financial analysts, and investment professionals. insurance agents, tax consultants, statisticians, and surveyors. So, what I want you to do is now, after the lecture, also when you start to do the homework, you will go pick up which of these nine sectors you are most interested in, then see this, and then start one by one. So, go to the book, go to the accountant section, read the 10 prompts, and you will immediately understand, oh, these are the 10 different use cases. Look at economist, again, you will realize, okay, 10 more use cases. So, because there are 7 chapters, you will find 70 use cases that are going to be relevant to you for this. So that would give you an idea. Then, for example, for sorry, give me a second. So if somebody is from the technology background, you would go for the blockchain and Web3, cyber security, data analysis, IT specialist, software developer, UI, UX, and web developers. So like this, I've broken it down for these 9 segments. And I think these are the 9 most important. Now, in fact, here I'd like you guys to tell me, are there any sectors that I've missed out that you guys feel could actually be more important? Someone says, just a thought, user could go haywire and ChatGPT will also lose control and get out of it. Sure. I mean, that could happen, right? So that's the reason you, as a prompt engineer, you must create the prompts and give it to the client. And then the client should tell their employees only use these. Don't try using anything else. But you're right. People sometimes do go a little haywire. ChatGPT sometimes creates wrong information, refers to research that does not exist. How do you deal with it? That's an excellent question. That happens a lot of times because that's kind of how it works. Like I told you, it's a large language model which understands nothing. It's just going based on probability, based on the sentences it's already gone through. So what I do is, and that's you have to be very careful. What are you creating? So if I'm asking it to create a digital marketing plan, I'm not so worried about things going wrong. But when I'm asking it for scientific information, say a legal case, you actually need to verify some of the cases. So suppose it gives you 10 cases, do not blindly take those 10 cases, and you have to go and check one by one whether those cases are actually existing and whether they are correct or not. So remember, for many sectors, ChatGPT is only just a tool which you have to work on more. But for many, it kind of runs out of the box. Like my experience with ChatGPT when it comes to uh, programming and coding is mind blowing. I've hardly ever needed to change anything. I mean, there are times when I've had to make, say, a complex MySQL query, and I will explain my database, these are the fields, and I will put my query in simple language and it will generate the perfect code for me. So, in some places, it has reached a very high level of expertise. In some, the expertise is lower, law being one of those. The expertise is still low. So, you have to be careful with it. So, it would depend upon your area that you're actually looking at. In case you do not have knowledge in that area, so in that case, if you are a prompt engineer, your job is to create the template and give it to the client, and the client is the person who's the expert in that area. So do not use Chat GPT for areas that you don't know about. Like I'll give you an example. So let's say I'm a content writer and I know nothing about magnetism. A client comes to me and says, can you write an article on magnetism? I say yes. I use Chat GPT and give the thing. Do not do something like that because you will get into trouble with it. So if you're not an expert or you don't have background knowledge in that, then don't use it for content creation. Then be a prompt engineer, create a nice prompt, give the template to the client, and let the client then utilize it. So that's the way I would recommend it to you, right? So you say that in a way, Chat GPT is only collecting the data and we have to validate the data. So like I said, it depends upon the category. So in software programming, you don't really need to bother. In some, yes, you do need to validate. But when you look at a lot of the sectors, so let me just go back to those 9 sectors and I'll share some of my experiences with you. So if I look at business, I have not found the need to really do much work in it. It kind of runs out of the box very well. Content creation, if you're doing it in non-scientific areas or not core law, it's very, very good. Education, it's again exceptional. I mean, when you ask it to make lesson plans, I mean, I could not find a topic that it did not make a good lesson plan. I mean, you name a topic, it could do it well. Again, sales and marketing, exceptional. Law is where you need to be a little careful. Again, life coaching, very good. Money and finance, very good. Tech, very good. Wellness, very good. So honestly, in this nine, law is the only area you need to be extra careful about. Hope that answers your questions. Whatever other questions you have, keep putting them in. Yeah. So far, is it all clear? Are there any other questions that you guys have before I continue? Okay. Let me move on to something else. Give me a second. Yeah. So now I'm sharing my screen. So one of the topics that I'm going to send you a blog post on, which you're going to read later, is the 10 types of chat GPT prompts. So I've given little information and example on each, but there are 10 different kinds of prompts, right? So depending upon what we are trying to do, we would decide which of these prompts we are actually going to use. So one is what we call as analytical prompt. Another is comparison, context based, factual. Factual is kind of something which I think we should use ChatGPT for the least. When it comes to core facts, I would rather go to Wikipedia and get the facts, but everything else I would use ChatGPT. Hypothetical, instruction based, open ended, opinion based, personal reflection, and problem solving. So these are the 10 kinds of prompts. So let's just kind of have a look at some of them. So let's say you wanted to do an analytical prompt. So this encourages critical thinking, analysis, and interpretation of a topic. So, for example, we could tell it examine the role of artificial intelligence in shaping the future job market. So, when we use the word examine the role, so ChatGPT understands, okay, now there is some analysis required, and that would require a deeper understanding of the subject matter and a synthesis of information or evaluation of a lot of information. So the wording will make that difference. If there are any questions, keep putting them in here. I'll keep checking. I think this is a kind of sector that could be added is research and analysis. Definitely, that's a sector that could be added. Sure. Then comparison prompts. So comparison prompts invite the examination of similarities and differences between two or more concepts, ideas, or objects. So for example, we could say compare and contrast the benefits and drawbacks of online learning versus traditional classroom education. So here you're kind of making it clear that I want you to explore this issue from multiple aspects and give me a balanced and well-rounded perspective. So it will not tell you which is good and which is bad. It will give you benefits and problems with both. It will compare them. And now you can take a decision which of the two makes more sense. So this kind of a prompt we call as a comparison prompt. Let me check if there are questions. Okay, nothing so far. Then we have factual prompts. So factual prompts seek accurate, verifiable information or data relating to something. So what is the process of photosynthesis in plants? Now, honestly, if you wanted to explain it to you in a simpler way, then you would use factual prompt. So for example, I would say explain the process of photosynthesis in plants as if I am 5 years old, or explain it in very simple terms, then I would use this. But if I just wanted information, facts, which year did something happen, then I would prefer to use Wikipedia or something like that. But then that's me. You're free to choose whichever makes sense to you. Then we have hypothetical. This is also very interesting. Okay, so here you are telling ChatGPT some imaginary or speculative situations. So you may say, what might happen if humans could live for 500 years? So something like this is pretty interesting, and honestly, let me try it out, right? So let's see if we actually ask this information, right? What might happen if humans could live for 500 years? So let's see what kind of an answer it gives us. So if humans could live for 500 years, various social, economic, and environmental consequences would arise, and then it starts off. So there would be overpopulation, social structure would change, and I mean, this is very, very interesting to see that as a human being, also, when I thought about this question, so before I first ran this query, I tried to think. And honestly, I wasn't able to come up with so many different points here. I probably came out with just a couple of them, but yeah, it came out with so many. So this is a very good thing which we can use, especially when we are trying to, come out with a very innovative startup idea. Like for example, many years ago when we did not have smartphones. Now at that time you had a feature phone. Now imagine at that time that you asked a question that what would happen if people had phones with them which had email and this and this and this feature into it. And then based upon the answer you could decide whether it actually makes sense to build phones with those capabilities. So today whenever you want to think something out of the box, innovative, you can actually go to ChatGPT and ask questions like that. One is you can say, give me an innovative, out of the box solution for this problem. Or you could say, take this hypothetical situation and tell me what all could happen. So, whatever cool business idea you have, or whatever new kind of profession you want to do, like, a lot of people are worried, right? That would my career exist in the future? In fact, I want to ask you guys this question. Do you think ChatGPT is going to wipe out certain careers? And not just ChatGPT, all APIs, or sorry, all AI, artificial intelligence, like Mid Journey has come in, which generates a lot of excellent images. Some are there which are generating videos, PowerPoint presentations, audio, deep fake videos. My question to you is, do you think ChatGPT is going to wipe your profession out? And what is your profession, right? So, some of you want to give me some answers? Like, what professions would go? Like, I never would have thought that modeling as a profession and maybe fashion photography would go. But then I saw just a few days ago that somebody has generated entire fake models. I mean, human beings, they look like human beings, but they're not real. And they are selling different products. So imagine you could go to Mid Journey and you could say a very detailed prompt there, and a model, a human being, I mean, looks like a human being but doesn't exist, is modeling your product, and it costs you virtually nothing. So maybe models are going to lose their jobs, maybe fashion photographers may. So I don't know. Some of you are saying, okay, no, someone says repetitive tasks. AI won't take away jobs. It's those who know how to use AI who will replace our jobs. So that's one way of thinking. And I know a lot of the media and a lot of people say that, but you know what? Honestly, I don't believe that. I believe it will change. And I'll give you an example. IBM has just announced that 7,800 jobs that they wanted to fill, they are not going to hire human beings and they're going to replace the jobs with AI. I know of law firms who are beginning to replace some of their newer employees with AI. So, what they're doing is they're taking all the templates they have, feeding it into AI, and then getting the answers done. And they said, why would we hire a human being to do this? Human beings need holidays and vacations and they cost so much more money and they don't work 24/7. And considering that as a fresher, your job is to look at templates and generate responses for new cases. They found AI doing it better. I know of software companies, especially new startups, that are kind of replacing early entry stage developers again with ChatGPT. So they say instead of having one team lead with 5 people, how about the team lead with AI? So it has actually started. So I want all of you to take that seriously. You're going to be a prompt engineer and you're also going to probably end up replacing people's jobs. So yes, it is going to replace a lot of people. But you know what? That's what happens with whenever a new technology comes. It will change my job and reduce the number of people in my industry. Yeah, sure. I mean, in fact, sales. Now, I would think logically, how could sales ever be replaced, right? But that happens. Sales is also getting replaced because sales is not only about speaking to the client, right? Sales is also about creating cold emails, follow up emails. A lot of that information in that thing can now be done by things like ChatGPT. And when it comes to finally making that human contact, people have also started using AI, which can speak like a human being, understand and answer. So, yeah, it's going to make a lot of changes, right? How can we get better results in the coding related prompts? Show us some prompt ideas. Yeah, sure, I'll do that. Give me a second. Mm, Let me just open that out. So, yeah. So in software, for software development, I have used it for these 10 kind of things. So one is when you're reviewing a code, second is when you're designing an algorithm, Third is when you want help debugging some code, something's gone wrong. Fourth is software architecture. Fifth is project documentation, unit testing, continuous integration and deployment, code optimization, security best practices, and project management. So, directly for software development, these 10 are there. If you want to go deeper, like for example, for blockchain itself, I recently posted on LinkedIn 100 different things that you can do with ChatGPT for just blockchain. So, yeah, for programming and all, it's again a very, very useful field. Upskilling for multiple career options may be the savior. Yeah, that's a very good point of thinking. That because ChatGPT can increase your productivity, you can actually end up doing two or three things. Like today, most of us work one job or one career, right? One business. If you use AI properly, you can actually do two things or maybe three things. And while that may sound very strange, but actually, I know of some people who actually started to do that. Someone wants to know, Goswami wants to know about coaching and counseling. Yes, that's another very good use case. In fact, let me just show it to you. So for coaching also, uh, so for example, one of the things is share strategies for keeping clients motivated and accountable during their personal training or group fitness or online coaching journey, ensuring they stay on track to achieve their goals. So, definitely, it's a very good one. So, this is under something called fitness trainers. So, even for fitness trainers, there are so many things. Like, for example, as a fitness trainer, you could use it to create a workout plan. So, you may have all sorts of clients who come to you. So, let's say you are working in a gym, so you could say, okay, design a 4 week, 6 week, 12 week, how much ever is the period, workout plan for, and then say what kind of individual, beginner, intermediate, advanced, and what is the goal. So is it weight loss, muscle building, general fitness? So this is one prompt. Now, as a qualified gym instructor, you would change the wordings here, and then you would be able to immediately create customized workout plans for all your clients. You could give them nutrition advice, which could again go with, provide general nutritional advice for someone looking to lose weight, build muscle, improve performance, focusing on what? Meal timing, micronutrient balance, all sorts of things. So you name a profession and it can give you really, really good, useful information. Let me check some more questions. Can I try for solidity? Can I learn? Yes, of course, solidity definitely. So what you can do is you can say, I am a fresher and I want to learn solidity programming. So teach me from the basics. So it will give you some information. Then you can ask further questions. Then you can say, okay, design a simple solidity smart contract for me, which does this, and give it the use case. It will design it, and then you can say, explain each line. Then it'll explain line by line, and then you can create a solidity contract, feed it in, and say, okay, give me ways in which I can improve it. Tell me what's wrong in this contract. Tell me the security weaknesses of this. So definitely solidity is something you can learn. It's very good at programming and it's very good at solidity. um, can we get better result in the ETSY related keywords? Could you explain what ETSY means? I'm not aware of that acronym. Can you please share the link to your blockchain related prompt? I don't have the link offhand. Just go to LinkedIn and search in my feeds and you'll find it. I just did it, I think, a week, 10 days ago. Share Solidity Rust learning ones. Again, you'll find some of these on LinkedIn. I've posted them. Uh, Awareness creator for children on cyber safety and security. Can you advise how to use ChatGPT? Sure, Logesh. So what you could do is explain the use case out, right? So say that I want to create material. So now what kind of material do you want to create? Do you want to create videos, tweets, articles, blogs, quizzes? So say that for creating awareness of cyber safety and security for children of this age group. And then it'll give you tons of answers. And then as it starts to give you answers, ask for more. So for example, when you're using it for, say, social media content creation. So you can tell it create tweets, then it will give you with hashtags. You can say create matter for reels, and it will actually give you a very detailed thing. These are the words you have to say, and this is what you should be wearing, and this should be in the background, and this image should show. It'll go into that much detail. You want to design a carousel post? Say, I want to design an Instagram carousel post on cybersecurity for children. It will give you the matter for that. Okay, Etsy is an e-commerce platform where people can sell products. Oh, okay, that Etsy. I thought it's something else. So, I mean, it would depend on what you're really trying to do. So, you will have to feed in the question properly. So, you can say that, okay, I want better results for the following keywords on the Etsy e-commerce platform. I don't use Etsy much, so I won't be able to help you too much on that. But you'll have to iterate and build up on that. Okay. Now let me go back to the types of prompts. Give me a second. Yeah. So we covered the hypothetical prompts. Then we could have instruction based prompts, right? Where there is a specific task or action to be performed, such as writing a poem, generating a list, or summarizing a piece of text. So you could say, write a short story about a time traveling adventure. Now, see, if you say write a short story, it's going to write it as if it's a story. If you had said write an article, it would make it more serious. So kind of it would make it more documentary based rather than being more fun based. So each word matters, right? Whether you call it a short story or a short article or a blog or a tweet, it would change depending upon that. So we call these as instruction based. Then we could do open ended prompts. Now this is very interesting. So if you want more exploratory, creative, or imaginative response, something completely out of the box. So imagine a world where humans can communicate telepathically, you know, through telepathy. How would this change our daily lives? Now, here you are giving ChatGPT an open hand to absolutely get creative, and it'll give you absolutely amazing responses. So, you are actually telling ChatGPT to imagine something, and then you are telling ChatGPT, okay, now that you've imagined it, tell me how it's going to impact our lives. So, you get very interesting answers. We could do opinion based prompts. So, where you're asking for subjective viewpoint, perspective, or evaluation of a topic. So you could say, if you look here, what are the potential advantages and disadvantages of implementing universal basic income? So here, when you say, it is going to give its own opinion. Although many times it says that, I am AI and I don't have my own opinion, it has its own opinion and it will give you lots of them. Then personal reflection. So while obviously it doesn't have personal experiences, it can still give you a response based on typical human experiences. So how can one overcome the fear of public speaking? And even though ChatGPT doesn't have a fear of public speaking, it will give you ideas on that. Then we could have problem solving. So where we could say, what are some of the effective strategies for managing time and increasing productivity? And it'll give you really interesting, easy to implement kind of suggestions. And finally, we have context based prompts, right? So considering the events of World War II, discuss the significance of the Allied forces victory. Now, this is something students use a lot to do their homework. So whenever you ask to do a book report or write on something, students would use context based. So you would say, okay, considering the events of something, now discuss the significance of the point, and it will give you a beautiful thing which you could end up using as your submitting it as homework. Now, many of you may also realize that there are generators there which can check whether the content created by you has been put by AI or not. So some teachers actually use it, some companies have started to use it, but there are ways to very easily fool those. But I'm not going to teach that here. But there are ways to do it, right? It's actually very easy. So some of those tricks, if you use, it's going to show you that this is 90% written by AI. You do those tweaks and suddenly it'll say only 5% chance it is written by AI. So those I don't trust them much. It's very easy to fool those. Right. I can see a lot of questions, so let me start answering those. Okay. So which language should we learn to become a good prompt engineer? Python? No. See, you would You don't need to learn any language because ChatGPT understands multiple languages, English, Spanish, it understands all those. You don't need to ask it questions in Python because you've got a simple interface, you can just type in your questions and it understands many, many languages. So you don't have to learn any computer language per se. Uh, Next question is, what is the future of prompt engineering and why? How does the industry need prompt engineers? So, okay, ideally speaking, in the long run, everybody would become a prompt engineer because everybody would use AI to as a tool, right? It's kind of something as simple as Excel. Tell me today in the world, can you imagine any profession? I mean, of course, manual labor is separate, where people say they don't need to use Microsoft Office, like Word, Excel, PowerPoint, or Google Sheets or whatever. Can we think of anybody who doesn't need to know it? No, everybody needs to know it. Similarly, everybody will need to become a prompt engineer. But because it is a new field, we can't expect everyone to do it so fast. So today, there is going to be the need for prompt engineers who are going to be experts at this so that they can help businesses out. So, if you wanted to help, let's say, a school, and the school wanted all its teachers to generate lesson plans, they could hire you to actually make the work easier for them. And in the blog post, I mentioned a lot of different use cases where people would need to become prompt engineers. How can we integrate response of candidate interview with uh, okay. So that's an interesting question that if you're using AI for interviewing, so the candidate is also giving a response and you want to do that in. Now, for that, one option is, of course, you could, if it's a typing based interview, where the candidate is typing it in, you could copy paste it into a string and get responses. That's one way of doing it. Or the second way in which you could do it is there are these things like, using the API or using the playground, and there are so many other softwares that are coming out which are implementing ChatGPT. So then it would be better to use those software. Another interesting question is there any solution which can add voice to interactions? Yes, so something like Synthesia, very good software, not just voice, it also gives you the video. So it's a very human looking person talking with information coming in from here. So that's a very good option that you could use. Let's take another question. What is the future demand? Okay, so like I said, I've already made a blog post on that, and that's the introductory blog post to this masterclass. So you'll get all your answers in that. Another question is, can I use this to crack interviews? Is it official or illegal? So that's a good question by Vishesh. So, well, whether it is legal or illegal, it would depend upon the terms of that interview. So when the if the employer says you cannot use it, then obviously you shouldn't use it. But other than that, I don't think. But then just remember one thing: you crack the interview using ChatGPT, but if you don't know what you're supposed to do, then how are you going to survive in the job? So you may end up getting fired. So be careful of that, right? Uh, is not ChatGPT just an advanced search engine? No. And that's a very good question that you've asked. So initially, even that maybe ChatGPT already has all the answers, and now it is using those answers, right, to give us information just the way Google does. But it is not like that because I'll give you a way to do it. See, Google is the best search engine. So write a complex question, ask Google, and you will see that it has no answers because nobody in the world has written the exact thing. Go to ChatGPT and it'll give you a very customized answer. So no, ChatGPT does not have all the sentences ready. Based upon the billions of sentences it has in its memory, it's creating new ones for you. So no, it is not a search engine. It is generating new sentences. It is generating content which no human being in the past has actually generated. And you can try it out. I mean, there are all sorts of queries you could try, and you will realize that no, it's not a search engine. Blockchain developers or prompt engineers or data analysts are future proof. Can I be very honest with you? I don't think there is anything which is future proof. We don't know it, right? Like, suppose 1 year ago I asked you a question that would models be under threat of anything, and everyone said no, model is always needed, people need to sell product. Suddenly, mid journey comes into the picture. So, we can't predict what's going to happen tomorrow. So, anyone could get wiped off. So I would not want to make a statement about this profession is future proof. Nothing is future proof. In fact, one way is, why don't you ask ChatGPT which are the careers which are least likely to get disrupted by AI? But even though it may give you a list, it may still not really be very accurate. So again, there's another question on the same thing. Which one is future proof and why nothing is future proof? I'm not aware of. I mean, the world is changing at such a fast rate. I mean, I don't know if you remember how fast Nokia and BlackBerry, from being top, suddenly went bankrupt. I mean, such large global companies could go bankrupt in a short period of time. And then COVID comes into the world, and suddenly we are locked down in our houses. Did anyone even imagine that? And then, because of things like COVID, how much the world changed? Could we have imagined it? No. So, I don't think we can try to predict. Can ChatGPT get integrated with company system of records to provide specific outcome for the? Yes, of course it can, and many people are starting to use it for that. So there are softwares built around ChatGPT which allow you to upload, like you can upload a PDF, you can give it a link to your website, and it will answer questions based on that information. Or you could upload all your records. So, like I told you about law firms, many of them have thousands of templates they have built. They upload the templates, and then the AI can generate new contracts or new opinions based upon the past, learning from that, adding new information and giving it out. Yes, you can do that. What is the best way to update as a prompt engineer? Learning path for prompt engineers? Keep experimenting. So as you get a client in a particular area, try to get more expertise in that area. So let's take an example. Let's say that as a prompt engineer, your client happens to be finance and you don't know much about finance. Start reading about finance, get domain expertise so that you can ask better and better prompts and you can create better ones. So I think that's the only way around it. And secondly, keep seeing the latest versions. Like for example, what worked in chat gpt 3.5 doesn't work in 4. I mean, the way you ask the question has changed, the kind of answers have changed. So keep trying regularly and updating your knowledge of that. Just like any kind of engineering or any kind of development career, you need to keep yourself updated with what's happening. After a few years, more AI tools itself will become strong, and then prompt engineering themselves without any human help. It's very possible. It's possible that soon you will not even need to ask prompts, and ChatGPT itself will create its own prompts. Anything can happen. But till then, we can at least get to do it, and then yeah, sure, maybe a day will come when we won't even be needed for that. How important is this for MSME entities? They are the ones that take time to adapt to new tech. This might give them a great opportunity to be more competitive and innovative. Sure, definitely. So, see, I find startups to be highly competitive, and startups pick up anything fast. So, every startup that I know of, I mean, all of them are using ChatGPT for a lot of things, and they have begun to fire people. I know that. See, as a startup, you want to save money as much as possible. So, a lot of the brainstorming, a lot of the content creation, marketing plans, startups are already beginning to use ChatGPT. Uh, I want to publish a journal paper on use cases of ChatGPT in finance. What could be the best use cases? So I've covered many of them in the ebook, so you will be able to get a lot of answers there itself. So you could go through that and you will get the answer. So AI tools affect the world job market. Your opinion? Yes, it does. There is absolutely no doubt in my mind. And the sooner we accept it, the better. See, try to understand it from the point of view of the employer, right? A company. What is the core job of a company? A company is not a charitable organization, right? A company is a business entity. They have one objective. Can you tell me what is that core objective? I want to see what answer you give me. What is the core objective of any company in the world? I'm waiting for some interesting answers on that. In the meanwhile, what is the best chat GPT? Open, Google, or Microsoft? Well, so I only use direct OpenAI's ChatGPT. I find that the best. So yes, absolutely, you're right. The only job of a company is to generate profits, to make money. Put yourself in the position. Suppose you are the owner of a company or you have a startup. You are not doing social service. You want to reduce your costs as much as possible. So the first thing that you're going to do is, how can I use ChatGPT to make more money, to get more business ideas, revenue streams. And second, how can I use ChatGPT to reduce my cost? So you're going to look at every human being and say, can I replace that person with ChatGPT? And if you can replace that person, you will. So, yes, it is going to change the world job market. There is absolutely no question in that. Now, some of you, if I ask you, will AI, and not just AI, automation technologies, robotics, will they replace manual labor also? And some of you may say, no, no, we always need people to physically lift stuff. No, I saw a recent video about how they're using thousands of robots in their warehouses. Because, I mean, Amazon has huge volume of business. They are already beginning to use robotics at a very advanced level. We already have cars which are driving themselves. So, physical car drivers, human drivers, people lifting stuff, even they are going to get impacted by technology. And many people say that, the real thinkers will not get replaced. Not true. You look at the big consultancy firms, right? I don't want to name them, but you know who I'm talking about. They get paid to design strategies for companies. Ask ChatGPT to design a strategy and you'll be blown by how well it can do it. And now you have an AI where you just enter your question. Not only it gives you answers, it can make an entire PowerPoint presentation for you. It can generate an entire video for you. So I think everybody is going to be impacted. Even celebrities, even they are going to be impacted. Uh, Suresh's question is, if I purchase your ebook from Amazon, do I need the Kindle e-reader device? No, no, you don't need any device. So you can use the Kindle app. So Kindle has an app for iPhone and iOS. You can just use. Sorry, for iOS and Android. You can just use that. You don't need to have a hardware. Uh, Someone says, I'm going to join the army now. Okay, I have bad news there also. While it's a very noble thing, and yes, sure, if you want to join the army, that's amazing. Do you know that almost every country today is trying robotics in that field? That where instead of sending human beings to fight directly, you are going to be able to send robots in to fight. So that's also beginning to happen. So even the army may not be the perfect answer for you. In Maruti company, it is already using robots for picking tools, for making cars, and doing much more things. Yes, you're absolutely right. Companies have started to do that. Next one, no device needed. Yes, you can access my ebook from your browser. Okay. Another question is, then doing agriculture is the future. Uh, Again, so in fact, in my ebook, I have actually given use cases that farmers can use to increase productivity in agriculture and decide what to do. That's one thing. But more important, even in farming, people are beginning to use a lot of mechanization. So if you go to YouTube and just search for agricultural machinery, oh, you will be absolutely amazed. In fact, I love to watch those videos where these massive machines are being used for planting, for getting out the product, for sorting, and all sorts of things. Everywhere automation is coming in, right? So you've got to figure out what you are going to do and how is it that you are going to show your expertise. Chat GPT 4 is a little costly. I heard that. So I currently pay $20 per month for using the paid version of Chat GPT. And I'll be very honest with you, I think at $20 a month, it's dirt cheap when I calculate the amount I am saving. One is ChatGPT has made new revenue streams for me. Is that something you guys would all want to learn more about? How you can create new revenue streams with ChatGPT? Or have you already read enough of those and seen enough of those videos? Anyway, you can let me know below this video also. Maybe I'll make one on that. So I think it helps me generate a lot more than $20 a month and it helps me save hundreds, if not more, every month. So it depends, right, on what kind of profit you are generating from it. Is ChatGPT going to take up more and more jobs? And what skills should we actually learn as students? So, as of right now, I would say as a student, if you want to create a side hustle and make money, use ChatGPT, become a prompt engineer, and try to quickly solve problems for people. So, depending upon which country, city you are in, what kind of people you have access to, use ChatGPT to solve their problems, right? Help them generate more money, help them save money, As of right now, I would say that's a very good thing to do on this side. The next one is, uh, sorry, mental health wellness perhaps is one area where all the trek around people may lose human connection and get into depression. That's a very good point. Have you guys seen this movie of Scarlett Johansson? It is called She, I think, or Her, one of the two words. It's about a world where everybody has an AI operating system and people are actually having mental relationships with those. And then in that movie, the AI gets bored of human beings and AI start to talk to each other and humans go into depression. I wouldn't be surprised if we are actually heading into that kind of a world. Definitely we are probably. It's a scary world. Can I upload documents so that it becomes a base for ChatGPT to respond? Yes, you can. So in the normal browser based thing, you can put in text and it can understand the text and then give you better and better answers. Or then you can use the playground where you or other software solutions built around ChatGPT where you can upload PDFs, you can give it links to websites, and based on that information, it can give you answers. So even your customers to your website, your FAQ version can be replaced. Where instead of having a boring FAQ, customer can come and type in the question based on the information on your website, the AI can answer. So yes, definitely. Next question is, did you subscribe to the premium chat? Yes, I use the $20 a month version. Uh, would love to learn about how to use ChatGPT for making passive income. Sure, maybe I'll plan out one of those sessions. Her, yeah, okay. So that's the name of that movie called Her. It's a Scarlett Johansson movie. You must watch that movie. Uh, Next one is, what about AR, VR, and metaverse? So again, AR, VR, metaverse are very good technologies. So in the future, when you want to do shopping, right? So today you go physically to the shop where you want to feel the stuff or you want to wear the clothes out. Now imagine a future where you don't need to go to the shopping mall anymore, and you just put on this. I'm waiting for metaverse to be accessible through normal specs rather than those big heavy headsets that you have to wear today, which is like really expensive also and very inconvenient. It actually gives you a headache after some time. So imagine with the haptic gloves, you can touch and get the feeling. Like in the metaverse, have you guys used metaverse? You can shake hands with people and it actually feels as if you're shaking hands with a real person. It gives you that feedback through the haptic gloves. Now somebody has come out with a way in which you can get smell in the metaverse. So people can actually go and smell different perfumes without actually going to a perfume shop. So that's definitely going to be bad news for the malls and people doing retail business. So yeah, that's another very big disruption that is coming in. Uh, Manufacturing industry, what are the best use cases we have to help them better? So you know what, that's a very good point, and let me actually note it down. Manufacture. Okay. I actually haven't made too many use cases for them, but I'm going to do that. So let me work on that and let me come out with some manufacturing use cases and I'll post them and share them with you. You can become a human relations specialist where people teaching people how to socialize, interact with others. Sure, that sounds like a very interesting new kind of a career that could come. So, what I feel is, like if you look back into history, so there used to be a time when there was a job where people would come and wake you up in the morning. They will actually come and knock on your door or your window because alarm clocks did not exist. Then somebody came out with alarm clock. Obviously that person who had to wake you up, his job was gone, but maybe they found a new job. Like you look at coolies, in the Indian railway stations we used to see a lot of those coolies wearing red shirts carrying our luggage. Then VIP put wheels on the suitcase, and the day they did it, coolies lost a lot of business. I'm sure they moved on to other businesses. So similarly, if on the one hand AI is going to kill a lot of jobs, I am sure on the other hand new jobs are going to get created because human beings are also very creative people. I'm sure we are going to come out with better and better ways. And don't worry about it. The world is not going to be that depressing. I'm sure we are going to be coming out with good ideas. Like Ready Player One movie. Again, amazing. It shows you the future of metaverse. So if you watch movies like Matrix, Ready Player One, Inception, you probably are getting an idea about kind of where the world is heading. So great. I think we've crossed an hour, so I'll take a break for today. So if you are doing this course, you know what to do next. I'm going to send you your next step on the WhatsApp group. And in case you've attended this stream today, but you're not a part of the group already, I am sharing the URL of the WhatsApp group. So just join that, and I'll be posting the assignment for today. And over the next few days, we will be doing the entire masterclass. And I think next week, Saturday, is going to be the final class, after which there is an exam and a certification. So please make sure you complete it. And also remember, this is the first and the last certification. After this, there won't be any free certification for the masterclass. So please make sure you finish the learning in time and you complete your examination with this first masterclass. See you. Bye bye. And whatever questions you have, just post it below this video on YouTube, LinkedIn, Twitter, or Facebook, wherever you are watching.